What's going on? In this video, I'm going to be going over the pictures that helped us to generate $42,000 in a week as well as $10,000 in a day. And these pictures are Instagram story CTAs. That's kind of what we're going to be going over today is IG story CTAs. You can see the Stripe screenshots here, just some other social proof, just so you know I'm legit. We generated $10 million last year. For us and our clients, transparently, we're spending around $1 million a month in ads, not personally, but again, for our clients, we have around a 25 million follower portfolio. We've helped hundreds of different clients across literally hundreds of different industries. My goal with this channel, not to sell you anything. I'm not going to push you to a VSL. I'm not going to push you to anything like that. I just want to build a community of cool people, gain some reciprocity with the world, and attract top talent. I literally have nothing to sell you. I sell my own offers that are done for you for my higher level clients. So this isn't even my target market. This is purely just to build a community and figure out what other people are doing so that I can implement it for me and so that you can figure out what I'm doing because I got to put some reciprocity out there first, right? So to be clear, all that I ask, if you like the video, sub. If you absolutely hate it, leave some hate in the comments. See who can leave the most hateful comment will win on this video. But yeah, so to be clear, these pictures generated us $42K in 7 days, and we're talking about story CTAs today. I'm going to give you a few examples here and walk you through kind of our process for building out these CTAs, right? So again, Stripe screenshot just for proof so that you know I'm not bullshitting you. But here are some of the CTAs that we used, and I will kind of walk through how we do all of these, right? And so first thing you need to understand is the difference between organic and paid CTAs, right? And I'm going to be talking about both today, organic and paid. And then inside of these, we have basically a few different options. We have one page and multi-page, right? And then we also have, like very, very high friction. Like this is a decent amount of text on the screen. We have high and low friction CTAs, right? So to be clear, I would consider this a somewhat high friction CTA, and this one is a much lower friction CTA because it literally only has two things on the slide, right? So this is very, very simple, and there's going to be kind of a level of friction. It's not just hey, this is high or this is low. It's kind of like a level of high to low, but that's kind of the deal. Had to grab another water because I was parched, but we're back. So a few different things that we do here. And I'm just going to kind of go rapid fire, just list off a few different things as I'm looking at this CTA of things that I can recall. Number one, painting the dream outcome, right? This is a previous client, Alex Sedlak. You might know who he is. He's got a pretty big Instagram following, but we worked with him, helped him with the CTAs and all that kind of jazz. But to be clear, this is, a few different things that we did. So number one is painting the dream outcome. He had a Lamborghini for a while. You can see that in this CTA here. He has his Lambo. And this is a flex. A lot of people desire a Lambo, so we paint the dream outcome, right? Another one with this girl on a private jet. Again, this is something that a lot of people would desire is having, a girl and then also having a jet there. Some of our best CTAs were like literally on this photo here or with the Lambo. These ones ripped, but they were, a bit trickier to actually get the photos for and everything like that. If you're just like a broke loser, you're not going to be able to get photos like that. Obviously, Alex had a pretty lavish lifestyle at the time, so he was able to get a lot of pictures like that. But you get the idea. We paint the dream outcome with the photo. The photo is like very, very important because it's the first thing people notice, and it's kind of like the hook of what determines if someone's going to read or not, right? And so in this case, we were selling TikTok shop mentorship. That was kind of the offer here, but you can do this with literally any offer. But here you can see, if you were working a 9 to 5 and then if you're working a 9 to 5, then I have something huge for you, right? And this is a really good way to do what we call a call out. And the call out is basically just, calling out the person that we're, going after. So this one was 9 to 5 workers, right? And so we did this organically. You're not going to be able to run this ad paid, just transparently. This one, actually, I think we tried to run paid, but it got disapproved, and so we ran it organically, slightly different, and I'll walk through the CTA on these CTAs as well in just a second. But, this isn't necessarily compliant from a paid advertising standpoint. This isn't going to get approved for a meta ad most of the time. So to be clear, if you're working a 9 to 5, then I have something huge for you. 9 to 5 instantly calls them out. And then it also, now I've been in your exact situation, you want to make money, you have the work ethic, that kind of thing. Again, that calls them out. Very, very specific to their pain points and to, their desires as well. So yeah, to be clear, apply for TikTok Shop, you will print money. So again, print money is painting the dream outcome. If you want to start printing, again, print is another way to say make without it sounding like super, super pushy. Print sounds way more casual. Same reason you can see here, TikTok is not in the right spelling case. It's, lowercase, right? The I is lowercase. It's all on purpose because we don't want people to think these are too professional. And that's kind of the vibe that this guy had, right? Alex was very laid back. He wasn't like just talking to super affluent market. He was talking very much so to the general public. And so that's why we kind of went in and did that. Again, here you can see escape the rat race. This is another great example of something that's really calling out their pain point. And this is in the most simple form possible. Obviously, the way that the friction scale works, right? If we just take like friction here, so let's say we have high friction, and then we have low friction, right? This is going to be equivalent to like just a scale, right? This isn't necessarily like a, this isn't necessarily like it's either high friction or it's low friction. It's going to be the same thing. It's basically a scale, and the higher the friction, the lower the total amount of leads, lower number of leads, right? And this is going to be obviously a higher number of leads. But in addition to that, we also have the benefit of high quality. And so this will answer a lot of your pain points of trying to figure out what type of CTAs you want to do, if you want to do higher friction, lower friction. Also another thing that's a bit more friction full is like this one was running to a Facebook lead form, right? There's no friction in a Facebook lead form because they just go in and it autofills. So we're optimizing here very much so for leads, right? And then on the back end of that, we obviously would send them to a calendar page, get them to book in, everything like that. And obviously that had a little bit more friction. But if you were to put an opt-in page there, for example, instead of putting a lead form, you're just going to have a lot more friction. So to be clear, you have to understand kind of this, spectrum here, this like, this scale of how things work with friction points, right? And so that's another big point is like this is a much higher friction CTA because it takes a lot to read this versus this here. It's very, very, very straight to the point. Opening 3 slots from a one-on-one TikTok Shop mentorship program, and literally TikTok's abbreviated with TT, right? With the money back guarantee. Swipe up and fill out the form if you're ready to print money and escape the rat race. Super straight to the point, super simple, right? Versus this one's a much higher friction CTA, and this one's going to be obviously, a lot more for people to read it, but it's also still going to be able to drive results for the quality. And so basically what you want to do is test these CTAs out. And the reason I always use one-page CTAs, almost always, I don't always use one-page CTAs. 2-page CTAs are obviously going to have higher friction, but if I'm running something on Instagram, we'll typically use a one-page CTA because we can prove this on organic and then transfer it over to paid. So that's what we did with this CTA, for example, here. This CTA, we actually created it, and then like literally everybody stole this gold rush shit from us. Rob the Bank stole it from us, and a bunch of other people like that were running. We saw tons of ads, Amazon FBA Gold Rush. People were selling every type of gold rush possible. But to be clear, we were the masterminds behind that concept. Just a little subtle flex for you. But yeah, so now after we proved this organically, he literally posted almost the same CTA, slightly different because it said, swipe up with the word whatever. And that's what you want to do organically. You want to say like swipe up with the word, and then you want to just put it in brackets and say key or whatever your word is. And you want to be like 3-4 letter word. Then they swipe up and you send them the link. Another big point on these, don't ever put a link out to something. Like if you're going to run this organically, don't put a link to an opt-in form. Don't do that. Or don't put a link to YouTube or something like that. Tell people to swipe up because it's easier for them to swipe up. They're a lot more likely and a lot more bought in if they swipe up as well. So always just tell people to swipe up with the word. And then you can use something like ManyChat. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because it can get your account banned. I've seen like 3 or 4 people in the past week get banned from ManyChat, but I digress. Few more things before we wrap this up. One, if you're working a 9 to 5, you can see that's in red, right? Red is a very emotional color because it's usually like a no. It's typically what people associate with red, no or bad, right? 9 to 5, they instantly associate that, like psychologically, they just have a cognitive bias to associate that to a bad thing. If they're still working at 9 to 5, that's a bad thing. 3 more slots adds urgency, right? And typically we like to do 3 slots in green because it's, good that there's only 3 more slots. But you can see down here, print and swipe up are always going to be in green, right? Now another thing over here, you'll notice Gold Rush is in obviously yellow or gold. And the reason we did that was purely because it just makes it easier to have that word highlighted. So you don't want to highlight. I see a lot of people fucking suck at this. They'll highlight like the whole thing. Like they'll highlight like each different, like they'd have 10 different colors. You want to be very, very meticulous with the colors that you're using and the psychology behind them. And you can just like Google search color psychology and it'll come up with like all the different things. But to be clear, that's, kind of all you have to do, right? You have to be very, very clear on the color psychology you're going to use. So another thing that I would say here is, the funnel that you're going to run, right? First, you're going to run the organic CTA, which is a simple DM funnel with a setter. And this is just going to be to a calendar, right? After this is validated, then we're going to run a paid CTA, and this is going to be paid media. And this is going to go to, and this is going to be like this story CTA. This is going to be your paid front-end creative. Then that's going to go to a lead form, right? Then that lead form is going to go to a calendar if they qualify, right? And again, we're only sending back good pixel data, only good pixel data back to the pixel. So we're asking on this lead form conditional logic of, okay, are you qualified? How much money do you have? We're asking some sort of financial qualifying question on that pixel. Even if we don't necessarily disqualify them, we will ask some sort of financial qualifying question on this pixel. We might still have someone reach out to them and say, hey, saw that you booked in, just to be clear, how much money do you currently have willing and able to invest in this? Because a lot of people will lie on the form. We don't want to send them back if they lie on the form, right? So the only time we're sending them back to the pixel is if they're actually qualified. So that's super, super important. We'll send them to a different confirmation page or something like that. And then we'll send them to a calendar. And then after the calendar, we'll just send them to a call confirmation page. And that's basically it. That's the whole funnel. It's super, super simple funnel. And, we've literally done like a lot of revenue generated with this funnel. I don't even know how much, to be clear. I'm not going to go out here and make up a number, but we've done an insane amount of cash collected with this funnel exactly. So yeah, this is story CTAs. This is the basic of them. They're very, very simple to do. And yeah, I'd recommend using one-page CTAs, validate it with organic, and then push it to paid. This is a strategy I don't see very many people doing. A lot of people will just purely do it organically, or they'll just push into paid without validating it organically. Test it out organically if you have any sort of audience whatsoever. Test it against 3 to 5 different other CTAs on your organics. And yeah, that works very well. Also, if you're on Close Friends, remember to use Close Friends best practices. It's kind of patched, but you get the point. But yeah, that's basically it for this video on story CTAs. Again, if you love the video, subscribe. If you kind of like the video, subscribe. And if you hated the video, leave some hate in the comments. And I'll be looking forward to seeing your hate messages. Peace.